First, let's start with this case. This morning, my mom and I took her 2 cats to the vet. The vet that we use is a walk-in only business. You cannot make appointments except for surgeries. We have been using this vet for several years, and I have been there recently with my own cat. When we got there 40 minutes before it opened, there was no physical line, but several people sitting in their cars. This is not unusual. What has happened literally every other time I have been there is that people wait in their cars until one person gets in line, then everyone usually zooms to get their spot. Then we all wait until the place opens. We waiting in their cars for about 20 min before someone got out of their car and got in line. Seeing that, I followed suit, leaving my mom and animals in the car, making me second in line. After another 5-ish min, some of the other people, 3 people, got out of their cars and said loudly, "Well, we should be going with who actually arrived first," and then proceeded to label where they thought everyone should be, putting me 5th. I didn't say anything because that sounded like nonsense to me, and so they just kinda all stood off to the side and waited. Meanwhile, more people began to show up and get in line behind me and the first person. The group didn't say anything to them, just talked amongst themselves. When the doors opened, they take 3 people at a time, and the lady in line in front of me went in, a lady from the big group, and then I was going in as well. As I tried to walk in, one of the people in the group went, "Excuse me, I was here before you." I stated that I was in line before her and was going in. She got angry, but I went in anyway. As I was trying to check in, the woman from the group that had made it inside tried to tell the employees that I had cut in front of someone, and I once again stated I had been in line before her. The employees told us that everyone would be seen and it would be fine. I feel a little guilty, but my logic was that I could have slept in my car in the parking lot, but if I didn't get in line, then that wouldn't have meant I got to cut ahead of everyone. That isn't how the system works. I have arrived first on previous visits, but not made it in line first. No one has ever pitched a fit about line versus arrival order before. So am I in the wrong for going ahead of this group that was waiting in their cars despite me being in line first? Let's start judging. This is so easily solved with these 2 newfangled inventions called a pen and paper. Simply post a sign-in sheet on the door. People can sign in and then go back to their cars. No waiting in line necessary, and no arguments about who was there first. The vet is the idiot, and I would give this vet a poor review online and mention the issues that the no scheduling system is causing. It's fine if they accept same-day appointments. My vet does too, and charges extra for them. But the vet's office is really the ones at fault for this dumb system of forcing everyone to fight to be the first in the door with their sick pets first thing in the morning. The vet is the idiot here, not you, and not the other people in line. You're not in the wrong. They decided to change the unwritten rules because it's cold out, and they wanted to stay in the comfort of their cars. You did a good job ignoring the entitlement. Too bad they hyper-focused on you. You're not in the wrong. The system is based on who is in line, plain and simple. But if this place insists on using such a nonsense system, then maybe you can request they implement tickets with numbers, similar to the deli counter, so people don't have to actually wait in a physical line. Next up, I am an after-school tutor, homework help and co-curricular support mostly, test prep sometimes. I am pretty adamant and clear that you cannot leave the house while I'm working with your child, because I am not childcare, and I cannot be made responsible if something like a medical episode happens. I also don't want there to be the appearance of impropriety. I don't need them in the room or anything, just in the house. Even still, parents occasionally try and use me as an excuse to run a child-free errand or run to the office or whatever else they do. Usually after the first warning it stops, and there's also a financial penalty. Recently I had a family where the mom evidently left during our session. This was the first time that it had happened. Eventually I needed to leave for my next appointment. I texted and called her, but no response. I was not comfortable leaving the child 8 alone without an adult present. After 15 minutes of waiting and becoming late for the next child, I got nervous and called the police non-emergency line to ask what I should do next. They said they'd send someone over. The police arrived and said they'd wait with her. Of course, I have many angry calls and a negative review from this mother now, saying I've created a huge problem for her, and the police think she's some kind of bad mother now. And a social services agent asked her all kinds of questions and how dare, etc. She claims she didn't realize the session was only 30 minutes and thought it would be okay to quickly leave around the corner because I would still be there when she returned. I was comfortable with the decision at first, but she seemed genuinely shaken up by her interactions with the social agent or officer she spoke to, unclear which from her message. And a friend of mine says this was an uncalled for escalation that could have actually placed the child in more jeopardy than my leaving after the appointment. Or that I should have waited for the mom to return and spoken with her first as a warning. Am I in the wrong? Let's start judging. A friend of mine says this was an uncalled for escalation that could have actually placed the child in more jeopardy than my leaving after the appointment. Agreed. The parent should not have escalated things by leaving you alone with a kid and being uncontactable to the point that you had to call the cops. What were you supposed to do? Just leave the 8-year-old on their own. For all you knew, the mom had just gotten in a horrific accident and was unconscious or something. Someone needed to be contacted, and if she didn't leave you an emergency contact other than herself, you had no choice. You're not in the wrong. 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 You did exactly what you should have. You tried to reach her. You couldn't, so you called the non-emergency police line. You handled it perfectly. The kid was safe, and hopefully Mom learned a valuable lesson in not abandoning her 8-year-old child with a somewhat stranger. She's only mad because now police know she plays fast and loose with her kid's safety. You're not in the wrong. The police think she is a bad mother because she is a bad mother. She broke your agreed-upon rules, left her kid with someone who is not a child care provider unsupervised, and was unreachable. She is shook because the professionals who deem if that was a bad move on her part agree it was a bad move. Next up, for context, we live in Austria, Europe. We were at a party with friends and came home to my house completely drunk. We were 3 people in my driveway: my girlfriend, my friend Toby, and me. Toby lives 30-min drive from me and wanted to go home by car completely drunk. I mean really, really drunk. He could not even stand properly and was absolutely not fit to drive in his condition. Toby was fired that day and was already in a bad mood. He also said some alarming things before he planned to drive off like that. He wants to drive into a wall and things like that. Me and my girlfriend told him to sleep at our place and drive home the next day. He resisted with all his power and wanted to go home by car at all costs. At some point, he made it into the car and was already holding the key in his hand. Me and my girlfriend tried together to take the key from him without success. We were trying for 20 to 30 minutes. At some point, I told him that if he didn't give me the key, I would call the police, because he simply couldn't drive in his condition, not only because of himself, but also because of the others. Even my threats did not help, so I really called the police so that they take the key from him. The police arrived, we turned around, and at that moment he put the key in and turned on the car, which is theoretically a crime in Austria. We explained the situation to the police officers, that we only want to prevent him from driving, but they were really bad about it and took away his keys completely and took him to the police station to sober up. The driver's license was not taken from him. Nevertheless, an exaggerated reaction of the police, if we have called these only from protection and helplessness. Of course, we did not expect this, and it was dirt as it turned out, but we wanted to prevent worse. His mother is totally offended now with me, and also speaks since then with me no more. He has also needed weeks until he has calmed down. But I think that we did the right thing, because if we just let him drive with the car in that condition, it would have been crazy dangerous. Have I been the idiot in the situation? Let's start judging. You did the right thing. The police did the right thing. Nothing bad about it. Your friend could have killed someone, and if he and his mom can't see that, you're better off without them. I do not agree that the police's reaction was exaggerated, and I think his mother's reaction is extremely unfortunate. You and your GF did what the police should have done and needed backup. That alone was cause for arrest, and it is in your friends' and the public's best interest that there be significant accountability in the form of an arrest. In any event, you're not in the wrong. You're not in the wrong, and I don't think the police overreacted. They saw him committing a crime, and a dangerous one, stopped him, and took him to sober up. They're not security guards you call out to get someone to hand over something. He's already started the car. He was behaving erratically. You and your GF weren't able to handle him, and I don't think they're allowed just take the keys. What else were they supposed to do? Next up, I have a house with a pool that I rent on weekends or throw parties. The kitchen and swimming pool are on outside. Friday, I went to the market to buy drinks, meats, and various things, because Sunday there would be a party in this house. So the fridge had a lot of things. On Saturday, my brother called me asking if I had rented the house this Saturday for someone. And when I said no, he informed me that he passed by and heard very loud music in it, in addition to several voices. I asked him to meet me there, and I went with my husband. There were about 20 people enjoying the pool, drinking, and having a barbecue with my stuff. Apparently, they used a ladder to jump over the wall. The wall had a broken fence and will be replaced tomorrow. It's the only wall that faces the street. When they saw us, they started to get even more desperate that my brother had the ladder. They tried to escape, but we kind of protected the wall. The police had already been called, so we didn't want anyone to escape. Nothing happened to anyone, to make it clear. They just tried to get past us to go to the lowest wall, but couldn't. The police arrived. There were 7 children, 6 to 13 yo, 12 adolescents, 14 to 17 yo, and 1 adult, 39 yo. Those responsible for the minors were called, and this caused a mess, as they started to accuse us holding minors in my house when I am not a police authority. The police gave me the freedom to press charges or not, but I said I just wanted the value of the items consumed. Pay for a cleaning lady and cleaning the pool. Yes, it would cost a high value because the outside area was a mess and almost everything used in the fridge. The adults began to say that just scolding from the police would be enough, and that I know how stupid young people can be, and begged me not to charge that amount, as most of them were extremely poor. I stood by my decision, saying that they would have until today, Monday, to pay for my damage. Otherwise, I would press charges against everyone. Yes, I heard a lot of curses, but today I received the full amount. My husband said that I was very harsh because I paid out of my pocket anyway. There was the party anyway. And that for us there would be no difference that money, but for extremely poor families? Yes. I really don't think it's fair to have this expense, despite being able to pay without weighing on my pocket. Young people are stupid, but still they broke into a house, used everything in it, and left a mess. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. They broke in, ate your food, and made a mess of the place. Plus, if anything happened to a kid there, i.e. break an arm or drown, you'd be held responsible, which isn't fair. Those parents are lucky you didn't press charges and just demanded reimbursement. You're not in the wrong. Almost all of them knew what they were doing was wrong. They made a choice to break in, steal, and use your property without consent. If someone drowned or was hurt on the property, there may have been liability for you, etc. You were kinder than a lot of others would have been. I recommend surveillance cameras. You're not in the wrong. Please tell your husband that instead of rewarding criminal behavior, he would better serve his community by investing in the families who need help. Bailing out criminals is not the way to aid poor families. Take the money paid to repair the damage done and invest in education, after-school care, whatever the community needs. Or, instead of cash, have the involved individuals contribute work towards repairing homes, supporting the disabled, or whatever the community needs. If you didn't press charges on the adult in that group, in my opinion, you made a mistake.